Neymar is Brazil's superstar. He's an Olympic gold medal winner, Champions League winner, and fan favorite. When Neymar was younger, he had big expectations on his shoulders, with everyone expecting him to be a rival to Messi and Ronaldo. In fact, many believed for natural talent, Neymar had the potential to be the best of his generation. So what has held Neymar back? Has he lacked the same desire as Messi and Ronaldo? Maybe. But his biggest issue has been injuries. Neymar has had awful luck with injuries, and some have been so bad they even threatened his career. From injuries that ended his World Cup to his latest disaster, here are the worst things that happened to Neymar. Neymar has had a lot of awful long-term injuries. This guy doesn't just get little 2-week calf strains, he has had several long-term injuries and recurring issues that have plagued his career. Neymar is also 31 years old now. How much more can his body take? He's just signed a huge contract with Al Hilal. During a qualifying match for the 2026 World Cup for Brazil, Neymar landed awkwardly, but the injury turned out to be terrible. He ruptured his anterior cruciate ligament. It's a horrible injury for footballers, one of the worst. Typically, an ACL injury will put a player out of action for between 8 to 10 months. This is disappointing for Brazil fans, but even more so for Al Hilal, who have spent a huge amount to bring Neymar over from PSG. Things haven't gone well so far either, with the club owner criticizing Neymar's fitness and work rate, believing the player came to them overweight and slower than expected. But for Neymar, it's a bad injury to get when you're over 30 because the body takes longer to recover. Could this be the end of Neymar's career? New to the channel? Please give us a like, subscribe, and fire us a comment. Neymar has the weight of an entire nation on his shoulders. He wants to win the World Cup. Every Brazilian fan wants Neymar to win the World Cup. Brazil have the grandest history in the competition as 5 times winners, but it's been over 20 years since they last won the trophy, back when Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, and Rivaldo helped them win the biggest prize in football. Going into the Qatar World Cup, everything was about a war between 4 of the biggest players in the world, vying for the trophy: Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, Kylian Mbappe, and Neymar. Mbappe, despite being the youngest, was the only player of the elite stars to have won the trophy. As for Ronaldo and Messi, it was surely their last World Cup, and Neymar might not even be playing in 2026 either. For Messi, the World Cup was his greatest moment, as he took home the trophy and pretty much guaranteed GOAT status. For Ronaldo and Neymar, it was bitterly disappointing. Neymar's World Cup was ended by a frustrating ankle injury too, which ruled him out of the group games. He feared it was over for him, but his recurring ankle problem recovered enough for him to play in the last 16. Unfortunately for Neymar, he wasn't 100. Brazil might have bested South Korea easily, but they were bested by Croatia on penalties, despite Neymar scoring in extra time. When it comes to World Cups, Neymar just can't catch a break. In the 2014 World Cup, Neymar was well and truly in his prime. He was electrifying, full of pace and mesmerizing skill. This guy was going to be the star of the tournament. Or so we all thought. Brazil went in as one of the favorites for the trophy. Neymar was supposed to be the talisman who would take them to glory, but his tournament was cruelly cut short. Bitter South American rivals, Colombia take no prisoners when they play. They've picked up a reputation over the years for playing rough, especially compared to other nations from the region. From the first minute, the Colombia team targeted Brazil's star player, Neymar. But there's rough play, and then there's the hard aerial challenge which smashed Neymar. After jumping for a ball against a Colombian defender, Neymar took a hard knee to the back, which sent him crashing to the ground. Neymar suffered a back fracture so bad it was even thought to be potentially life-changing. Not just a career killer, but maybe even an injury that could leave him in a wheelchair. Neymar was fortunate to recover and still maintain his status as an elite player. But sadly, his World Cup was over. Brazil just weren't the same after, and their tournament ended with the most embarrassing result in their history: a 7-1 defeat against Germany, who ended up winning the cup. Back to that ankle injury in 2022, and it wasn't the first time Neymar had experienced troubles with his ankles, with several other occurrences in 2020 and 2022, with a whole 2 months out in February of 2022. The guy has managed to fracture both in the last 3 years. In February of 2023, it turned out that Neymar would need ankle surgery. It was yet another long spell out injured for Neymar in his time at PSG. The Paris fans have never really warmed to Neymar because he's always injured. And now he was facing surgery which would rule him out until the end of June, missing the whole end of the season. This final injury spelled the end to his time at PSG too, as the club looked to change their ethos and build a club totally around Mbappe as the one big star. So Messi and Neymar were both sold in the summer. Neymar seems to have bad form at the end of winter. He's had a lot of injuries and problems in February time. In the run-in during his first season for PSG, Neymar gave their fans a sign of things to come. In 2018, Neymar is their superstar and the biggest earner at the club. But he suffered a 5th metatarsal fracture, which ruled him out of action for 3 months, missing almost the entire final part of the season. The metatarsal area is in the forefoot and is a common footballing injury. It was probably a little bit of bad luck on Neymar's part, but it really did set the tone for his entire time at PSG. In 6 seasons for PSG, he played 112 league games and never managed more than 22 Ligue 1 games in a single season, which isn't a lot. In fact, for the most part, Neymar tended to play around half of the league games possible because of persistent injuries, and actually managed to play more in just 4 seasons at Barcelona. Oh, it gets worse. Neymar might be unlucky, but he's also got into plenty of trouble at PSG because of his injuries. After missing a game with a fractured rib, Neymar almost had the smackdown laid on him from Thomas Tuchel. Why? Because Neymar loves to party, and despite being out and needing to recover from injury, he was pictured partying. This angered the then PSG manager, the owners, and the fans. Sure, people can forgive unfortunate injuries, but what they can't forgive is making it look like he didn't care about the club. Did Neymar learn from this? Not really. After Brazil's disastrous 2022 World Cup, he was pictured partying a day after they were knocked out. And if there's one fan base Neymar doesn't want to annoy, it's the loyal Brazil fans who have watched him since his teens. It might all have been so different for the Neymar family. Life was difficult at the start for Neymar Jr., born into poverty and hardship, but his life was almost cut tragically short. One night, his father was driving down a dark highway in Brazil after a hard day's work. Baby Neymar was in the back in his cradle. After another car swerved into Neymar Sr.'s lane, he had to take evasive action but lost control. They had a terrible crash, but Neymar's dad managed to escape relatively unhurt. But what about baby Neymar? When the ambulance came, Neymar Sr. was in a panic. There was no sign of Neymar Jr. and the window was open. Did he fly out somewhere? They searched and searched until one of the rescuers spotted Neymar's cradle, which had fallen into the rear footwell of the car. Neymar was alive and thankfully had only suffered some minor scratches and bruises. Thankfully, Neymar grew up and honed his footballing talents, becoming a child prodigy and then a teen icon for his first Brazilian club, Santos. It was at Santos that Neymar first hit the attention of the world with his insane skills. Whilst Neymar was playing for Santos, he was also becoming a big player for the national team. And it was in 2012 when he won his Olympic gold with Brazil's competing football team. So what now? Just how much longer will Neymar continue? He seems destined to end his career early, and it's often been said by his critics that he loves partying and gaming as much as he does football. Sure, while a club like Al Hilal want to pay him crazy money, he's going to carry on. But if the fans don't see enough of him playing, the end is probably not too far away. From the ankles to his back and his metatarsal, Neymar is struggling to continue, and it's clear he can only manage to play a half season a year. What do you think? Drop us a comment and don't forget to like and subscribe.